Welcome everyone, happy Tuesday. Thank you so very much for joining today's webinar where we're going to be talking about finding big opportunities by investing in tiny homes. It is top of the hour and I do want to be respectful of your time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Reneika Lightbourne with Advanta IRA, and I'm delighted to be joined by microhome expert Rashad Jones-Jennings of Post Pro Capital. Thank you so much, Rashad, for being our featured speaker today.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to, hopefully I can bring your people some value today.
Absolutely. So Rashad's going to cover some advantages of tiny home investing, some of the due diligence process, the building and construction phase, the design phase, and just an overview of tiny homes. But before I turn it over, I do want to give you more so a high-level overview of what self-direction is, how it works, and of course, when you're ready to get started with us, the simple steps to do that. If you have questions, feel free to type those in the question box. We will allocate some time at the very end to get those answered for you. So again, my name is Reneika Lightbourne. I'm one of the business development specialists here at Advanta. I've been with Advanta as an employee since 2019, but I'm also an Advanta client prior to joining. So self-direction is something that I actively do. If you have any specific questions or you want to do more so one-on-one to talk through your exact scenario, feel free to give me a call, send me an email, or visit advantaira.com to schedule a consultation. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. Just know that at Advanta, we don't give any tax, legal, or investment advice. All of the information that's going to be presented is just more so for educational purposes. So as always, we always encourage you to, do your due diligence, consult with your professional team, whether that's your CPA, attorney, or financial advisors. So just quick takeaway, if this is a new concept for you, just know that for IRAs, for self-direction, any IRA or former employer plan qualifies to be self-directed. 2, you choose the investment that works best for you. Today we're focusing on tiny homes investing, so within real estate. And then of course, any income that's generated from that investment flows back into your retirement account. If there's any expenses related with that investment, it's paid out of the retirement account. So a little history and background about Advanta and who we are. We've been in business for 20 years as the leading self-directed IRA administrator, where we work with clients and investment providers looking to use, again, qualified retirement accounts to invest in alternative assets. We have almost about 10,000 clients. We work with clients nationwide, a little over $2 billion under our administration. And then, of course, we separate ourselves by, providing you that concierge-style service where you have a dedicated account manager, and of course, providing you great educational content where we have, practitioners and experts such as Rashad to come in and knowledge share with you. So, in addition to doing weekly webinars, we also have my colleague Alex hosts a podcast. I would definitely encourage you to check that out. We also do other networking events, speaking engagements. We have every other Fridays, we do something called Pitch, Promote, Prosper. So again, check out our website, look at our events page and register to attend that. All of our webinars are recorded, so this one will be uploaded within 24 to 48 hours on our YouTube channel. So just, really quickly to recap in terms of what a self-directed IRA is, it just simply means that you as the account owner, you're going to have complete control over your retirement funds. You're going to have complete control over the investment decision, and it allows you to diversify as you build retirement wealth. So most of our clients do have real estate related holdings, but in addition to real estate, you can also invest in precious metals, private equity, oil and gas. The list goes on in terms of what's on the table for you. So why do people choose to self-direct? You can self-direct for many different reasons. I'll just touch on 3 of them. 1, it can be a new source of capital for you. So if you have funds that's sitting in an existing IRA or sitting in an old 401k, you can elect to move those over to make your next investment, as opposed to tapping into your personal savings or taking out a loan. And then, of course, another reason is the volatility with the stock market. We can't control it, but we know with real estate, it's a tangible asset. It's always going to retain some value. People are always going to need a place to live. So it's a really good option for you to diversify. And then, of course, the tax benefits, having those rents, those profits, those dividends flow back into your retirement account, tax-free or tax-deferred, depending on the type of account that you have. In terms of the different types of accounts that can be self-directed, it's the accounts that you're already familiar with. So, whether it's a traditional IRA, meaning tax-deferred, you get a tax break up front, you pay taxes later, or with a Roth IRA, you like to pay taxes up front, grow that account over time. As long as you've had that account for 5 years and you're 59 and a half, which is the retirement age, when you take those funds out, it's tax-free. So traditional and Roth IRA are individuals. If you are a business owner, you have a side business, you can certainly look to self-direct a SEP, simple, or solo 401k. Solo 401k, also referred to as an individual K, which has great flexibility. A lot of real estate investors like the solo 401k. If you want to know more about it, go to our website or reach out to me, and I can certainly talk through that with you. Some lesser accounts that can also be self-directed are educational savings accounts. So if you have kids, grandkids, nieces, and nephews, that's a good way to put those smaller dollar accounts away to help them pay for those educational expenses. And then with an HSA to cover medical-related expenses, as long as you have a high deductible insurance plan, you're eligible for an HSA. So do check with your plan provider on that. And then, of course, any former employer plan, whether it's an old 401k, 403b, or TSC type plan, can be self-directed. In terms of the contribution limits for 2023, I do want to reference tax deadline is coming up pretty quickly on the 18th. So if you haven't already, you're still eligible to contribute for 2022, but you do need to get those funds into your account as soon as, obviously, before the deadline. So for traditional and Roth IRAs, if you're for 2023, you can put in, if you're under the age of 50, you can put in 6,500. If you're over the age of 50, you can put in 7,500. For SEP IRAs, you can contribute up to 25% of your earned income, so not to exceed 66,000. For a solo 401k, you get to essentially contribute twice. Once as the worker, once as the owner. Again, up to 66,000. And then for ESAs, educational accounts, you can put in 2,000 per year per child. For HSA, if it's an individual plan, you can put in 3,850. If it's a family plan, you can contribute 7,750. For HSAs, if you're above 55 years old, you can put in an additional $1,000. The process for us is pretty straightforward when you're ready to get started. It's 3 simple steps. First and foremost, fill out the application to get your account open with us. If it's an IRA account, you can do it electronically via DocuSign or directly on our website. If it's an employer plan like a 401k, then it does require a little bit more paperwork, and we'll certainly be able to walk you through that as well. Step 2 is funding your account. So you can, in a combination of making an annual cash contribution as long as you have earned income, or you can transfer from an existing IRA or do a direct rollover from a former employer plan. And then finally, step 3 is, start investing. It's tiny home related communities that you want to invest in, absolutely you can do that. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Rashad to make him the presenter, so just bear with me.
Okay. Hey everybody, I'm glad to be here. Hopefully, through my presentation, I can educate you all on big opportunities in investing in tiny homes. First, I'll give you a little bit about myself, a little background. As Reneika said, my name is Rashad Jones-Jennings with Post Pro Capital. I'm a retired professional basketball player. I played 8 years professional. Most of my time was spent international. I had a couple pit stops in the NBA, but I did most of my damage overseas. After my 8-year career, I retired at the age of 30 due to injury. And I had to figure out what was my next move, my second career, and I went right into real estate in 2015. I took real estate head on. So I started out as a realtor, learned the basics of real estate there. Then I worked my way up. I put my 3 years in. I got my brokerage license, and then I tried the brokerage thing out, and I realized I didn't want to be a babysitter. So I relinquished the brokerage. Then I just started focusing on investing. I started flipping houses. I started wholesaling. I started building single family houses. And then once I started building single family houses, I said, hey, I can build a cluster of these houses. Then I started developing. That's where the development came in. And tiny homes was one of the forms of development that kind of came first. So, the one down, I have one down in Atlanta right now, 29-unit tiny home community that's done very well, sold out before we even started construction. And that's looking to be finished up in the next 60 days. And that opened up the floodgates for a host of other opportunities within the development, realm as far as tiny homes. And not only tiny homes, it's just tiny homes, townhomes, strip malls, and everything of the like. So that was a good segue for me to get into the development game. And now with the prices being elevated, interest rates going up, the affordability is going through the roof. So a lot of people can't afford $300,000, $400,000 homes because in Atlanta, the average median income is not to where it's affordable to be able to purchase those types of homes. So you have people. When I first got into real estate in 2015, and when you got a $250,000 pre-approval for a buyer, that was money in the bank. All you had to do was find a house. Now, a $250,000 approval, I mean, you're looking at a teardown. No one can really. It's people just holding those approvals. So that's where the tiny homes came into play because it's under 250,000. It's new construction. It's a smaller footprint, and then you have people who are more concerned about their economic footprint. So there is a market for it. The market let me know that they like the product and that we sold out. And as I get through my presentation, you'll see that how I had people from all over the country want me to come to their city and state and bring this product. So this is some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today. The overview on tiny houses as a whole, strategic location, placing these pocket communities, design. Design is very big. I've gotten a lot of feedback from the community about the design. They love the modern design. Building and construction, how to put together a team to make this happen. And also the advantage of tiny homes. Like one of the advantages that I'll get into real quick is they cost less to build, they're faster to build, and for a developer, it's the same profit margin as if I was to build a regular size home. So I'm helping people, and it's still a viable business as well. And also the last but not least, strategy and due diligence. Because if you don't have the right strategy or you don't do the proper due diligence, you're pretty much going to be doomed from the start because this is a numbers game, and every number of every number matters. Everything pretty much matters. So it's definitely a numbers game, and you got to make sure it's feasible. And we'll get into that feasibility study and everything to make sure that the things that you need to check off the list to make sure it's even viable. So yeah. So in the recent years, there's been a shift in the way people view housing and living. More people are opting to live in smaller dwellings to simplify their lives, reduce environmental impact, and to save money on housing expenses. I don't know about you, but I have rooms in my house that I haven't been in. We don't go in them. We have about 2 rooms in our house that we don't even go in. So it's kind of wasted space. And the tiny home, it forces you to just live in what you need: living room, bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, wash and dryer, things like that. But the type of tiny homes that I've created, I want to make sure that we have other living areas. That's why we have these huge decks that you see on the screen. You got a walking trail. You got community fire pits. You have places to go. Like, you don't have to be confined in that space. You can be on the deck, you can be on your porch, you can be walking the trail, you can be at the dog park, you can be at some of the amenities with like the fire pit. You don't have to just be, restricted to your home. So that's one of the other good things about the tiny home play. So there's no fixed criteria that constitutes a tiny home, but according to Realtor.com, tiny homes are typically defined as dwellings 100 to 400 square feet in size. I have 3 floor plans, 6 floor plans with 2 different developments. So the first development on my floor plan, I have 430 square feet, 630 square feet, and 330 square feet. And, I'm doing another development to where I'm having 450 square feet, 550 square feet, and then I wanted to do an even bigger unit, which is a 2-bedroom at 800 square feet, where you got a bedroom on the main, and then you have a bedroom upstairs. Because during this process, I got a lot of feedback from seniors, people, who don't want to climb stairs, and say, hey, we got stairs, so that kind of rules them out. So on the next development, I made it a point to make sure that we have a bedroom on the main level as well as the bathroom to accommodate those people. Now, I want to get into what a pocket community is. So what a pocket community is basically a planned community that consists of a grouping of smaller residences, often around a courtyard or common garden area, designed to promote a close-knit sense of community. This thing went viral. Once I started posting the community and everything, what I was doing, it went viral. So, when things go viral, you got everybody's opinion coming in. A lot of the feedback that I got, hey, these houses are too close. But what they don't know is that was by design. These houses, I don't know if you all heard of Serenbe. Serenbe is a planned unit development down in the Chattahoochee Hills, where, and one of the main premises is they only built on 30% of the land. The rest of the land was specifically used for green space and walking trails and, for nature. So that's the same kind of concept on a smaller scale. We want the houses to be close together so we can have more green space, more walking space. So it's like it's a pocket community. Like you're in your own little community within the neighborhood. So that's what a pocket community is. Next, I'm gonna talk about planned unit development. What a planned unit development is, it's a community that may offer a variety of housing types, and it may include both residential and commercial units. One of the examples of a planned unit development is, if you see in the pictures, is the Valentina Estates development. The reason why this is so important, because without it being a planned unit development, I wouldn't have been able to get this approved. Because, for example, in this particular development, you have one row of houses that has road frontage, and then you have another row of houses behind it that doesn't have road frontage. But in the ordinance in Chattanooga, Tennessee, what this development is, the ordinance specifically says that all houses must have road frontage. So I had to get a special use. That's basically what a planned unit development is. It's a special use permit, basically. So they gave me what is called an HPR, horizontal property regime, which means that I can have houses stacked horizontally without it having to be road frontage. So that's what a planned unit development is. And it's crucial, to know these different ordinances, because if you're developing in different markets, each city and county has their own ordinance. They meet, they come up with their own thing. So what's approved in Atlanta may not be what's approved in Chattanooga. What's approved in Chattanooga may not be what's approved in Miami, Florida. You see what I'm saying? So every municipality has its own rules, and you just got to be willing, ready, and able to adapt to whatever their ordinance is. Next, I'm gonna get into design. If you've seen some of these pictures, you know that they're unique, they're modern, custom windows, slanted roofs. So the design is very big. If I would have did a scaled down design, I don't know if I would have been able to sell out, before we started, because we sold out just off the rendering pictures, So that was the attention grabber to get everybody in, and then once they got in, they loved the actual product that came out of the ground. Another thing about design, if you see this picture right here, this is something that my architect drew up. We're in the preliminary stages of redesigning the next community, and I gave them 100% creative control. I pulled a couple things off Pinterest to show them the direction I wanted to go. But like I said, I gave them creative control. In this picture right here, we actually changed this. I had a meeting with my architect yesterday, and we changed some of the stuff on this picture. As you can see, this is actually the upstairs, the loft, and you can see it's open from below. But the changes that we're gonna make on this design, we're actually gonna come all the way across to the right. We're gonna have the loft come all the way over across to the right. So now we're able to add a closet into the loft, which makes the loft bigger. and we don't have any dead space because before it was just floor to ceiling height of 18 feet right here as you walk down this hallway to go to the steps. But now we're just going to bring this all the way over so it can be a closet. And now it could classify as a bedroom. So instead of it being a one bedroom loft, now it could be classified as a 2 bedroom. So those are the type of things that you need to think about because that's also going to affect your price point and also going to affect the type of buyer that you attract. Also, how involved do you want to be? Like I said, I gave my architect creative control. You know, I like to stick to what I'm good at. I'm good at finding deals and recognizing value. And that's where I want to spend all my time. I don't want to transform into a designer. Now, we do have back and forths of, hey, I like this, or what do you think about this? But I hired the expert. I like to get out the expert way and let them do what they need to do. And then I'll chime in as needed. Um, Next, when you're talking to your architect, you want to talk about what type of structure do you want to design? Is it a modern tiny home? Is it a craftsman style tiny home? Is it a farmhouse? Is it a ranch? Like I said, I've been in a lot of, people 55 and up community that say, hey, I don't want to climb steps. Can you do a ranch community? I was like, hey, that's great. I just need to find the land, and now that I know that there's a market for that, we can get ready to tackle that. But knowing exactly what you want before you even get started, I mean, that's crucial because that's going to save you a lot of time because it's multiple different ways that you can do it. Like I said, the one in Atlanta, we did 100% modern, and the one in Chattanooga, I think I'm going modern craftsman. So it's going to be a mix of modern and craftsman. I don't think we're going to have any ranches, but what I did do is make sure we had a bedroom on the main level. Next, let's talk about building and construction. This is one of the most crucial parts of the development because you could do everything right, but if you pick the wrong team or the wrong general contractor, they can blow up your budget. This whole thing is about budgeting, following following the numbers, and making sure your project stays on time. So right now, like I said, I'm an athlete, so I use a lot of sports metaphors and sports analogies. So I look at building a construction team as if I was building an NBA team. Me as a developer, I would consider myself the owner of the team. Choosing a general contractor, that's just like choosing a general manager of a team. The site superintendent, that's just like choosing the head coach of the team. A project manager, that's just like choosing your team captain. The project manager is one who's going to keep you on time. They're ordering materials. They're making sure you're on schedule. If something gets out of schedule, they try to find a way to catch you back up so you can still meet those deadlines for your investors. Last but not least, the subs. The subs are important and are an important part of this as well. And that's just like the filling out the rest of your team. And as you see the picture, that is me on the excavator out on site, acting like I'm doing some work. I'm probably just in the way, but and that's another thing. I'm not on site every day. I had to fire the first 2 or 3 general contractors on my previous development because they just weren't making the cut, and we wanted to make sure that we stayed on time. So I had to roll up my sleeves and get out there myself. So I'm not afraid to get out there. I'm not afraid to rip the band-aid off, and I'm not afraid to have a hard conversation. So, because if I see someone slacking, I let them know, and I have to step in. But building your team is very, very crucial because you're going to be basically married to this team for 12 to 14 months. It's a long, hard grind. So you want to make sure you do your due diligence on your team. Now, I know we talk about doing due diligence on the deal, but you need to do due diligence on your team as well. So next is strategic location. Now, I talk about this all the time. I have about 500 videos on YouTube where I just document my process. And location, I know you've heard this in real estate. It's about location, location, location. So the reason why Chattanooga, outside of the fact that this is my hometown and it's one of my main markets, Chattanooga is actually short 5,000 housing units. So that checked the box for me. That let me know that, hey, there's a need. There's people that need housing. And when I'm going into a market, there's three things that I look for: population growth, job growth, and housing shortage. That the need. Is there a need for more housing? Because sometimes a city can be overbuilt. I don't know if you know about Austin, Texas, but Austin is one of those hot markets that I feel is going to be overbuilt in the next couple of years because you have tons of developers, tons of people coming in buying properties, institutional investors. That will make a city overbuilt, and that was what causes sometimes downturns. Um, but yeah, number one, population growth. Are people coming to the city or are people leaving the city? That's very important. As you can see with the stats here in Chattanooga, they have a population of 425, 0.71% population increase in 2021, up from 0.48% in 2020. So that checks one of my boxes, population growth. The next is job growth. They have a 2.8% job market increase in 2021. They also have a future job growth over the next 10 years. It's predicted to be 44.5%. That's almost 50% increase in job growth. So that checks my next box. There are jobs that are coming. And one thing that I do, I'm big on research. We have in Chattanooga the second largest paint plant in the world, not the country, the world. It's a Japanese paint company that is coming about 2 blocks away from the Valentina Estates development. So that's going to bring more people, more jobs, and those people are going to need to be housed on top of the already 5,000 unit shortage that Chattanooga has. So I don't have any doubt that we're going to also sell out during the pre-sales. Next is value and desirability. Home prices under 200,000 has the largest buyer pool. Now, just like that example I gave you earlier about, in 2015, when, a buyer had a $250,000 approval, there was money in the bank. And now that's not so much the case, because when the interest rates go up, let's say, for example, you're approved for 250,000. The interest rates go up, that takes your buying power down. Now you might be approved for 220. So a lot of people that have been struck with that, instead of just buying something just because they have to buy something, they're not buying at all, and they're just staying renters. So that's why I want to make sure the tiny homes stay under that $250,000 mark, because it has the largest buyer pool. As I said before, Chattanooga is short 5,000 housing units, and homeowners are also looking for an experience where they live. Not only are you going to get a house, you're going to get a community garden, dog park, walking trails, green space, and it's going to be gated, and it's going to be an experience. You'll pretty much have everything that you need in this community outside of a store or what have you. But down the line, I do plan on making live, work, play development, so you don't even have to leave your pocket community. Another thing that is crucial to look at outside of population growth, job growth, and the need for housing is the average median income. One thing you got to ask yourself, hey, can people afford what I'm building? And as you can see, the household income in Chattanooga, the average median income for a household is $47,000. Now, my product is under $250,000. So those both check off the box. Now, if I was building, I don't know, $500,000 houses, there's no guarantee that these houses will be sold, because there's more people getting approved for 250 than there are for $500,000. So that's just another part of the feasibility and due diligence that you have to do when you're going into these new markets. Can people afford what I'm bringing to them? Because you can build the most immaculate development that you could possibly build, but if people can't afford it, now you got to shift your exit strategy. You know, you might thought you was gonna sell them, but now you may have to rent them. You know, and will the neighbors allow you to rent? I'll get into that on the you know, as I go through the presentation on something that I had to deal with. Because the Valentina Estates deal, as you may know, that was my fourth option. I initially wanted to build affordable apartment units, but the neighbors were against it. You know, and then I came back and said, hey, I just want to build 29 homes, build and rent. The neighbors said, no, we own our houses. We don't want this to turn into a rental community. So I had to shelve that. Then I said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do townhomes. And then I finally decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do tiny homes. And the neighbors embraced it, the city embraced it, and I got approval on my first go round. So that let me know again what the market was looking for. Now here's some of the stats on Tennessee. Just some economic stats on Tennessee, which is, you know, in the market of Chattanooga. It's number 3 in fiscal stability. It's the number 5 state for business. It's number 10 in new jobs created, and it's number 11 in best state economy. So these are some of the factors that I look into when I'm going into a new market. So now let's talk about some of the advantages. The picture you see right here is South Park Cottages. Some of the advantages of tiny homes are minimal maintenance, lower running expenses, profitability, cheaper utilities costs, and all, like I said before, a smaller environmental footprint, which is something that a lot of people are more conscious of these days. You know, and these are, you know, energy efficient, got solar panels, got solar lights throughout the community. Just trying to make an overall just good product, you know, for the buyer, and something that they can be proud of. And like I said, I was talking to my architect yesterday. He was saying, hey, you know, what do you want to go with this? And I said, look, no, the question he asked me was, what do you want your buyer to feel when they're inside of one of your tiny homes? And I said, I want them to feel like they have everything they need. Because like I said before, I have rooms in my house that I don't even go in. And I know you probably do too. And, you know, once we get to the Q&A, we can kind of address that. But, you know, if you really think about it, you're only in a couple different places in your house. Kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, the bathroom, and you know, maybe if you got a TV room that you do family night or something like that. But other than that, everything that you need is here. So next, let's get into cost to build. One of the other good things about the tiny homes is the cost to build. They cost less to build. You build them faster. And like I said, it's the same profit margin as if you were to build a regular house. So it's a win-win across the board. I like to do win-win type deals. It's a win for me as a developer. I created a market for the buyers who couldn't buy anything under 250,000. And not only because it's a smaller unit, I wanted to create an experience around that. So it's not just, hey, I got this house for $200,000. It's, hey, I got this house. It's a gated community. I have neighbors with like minds. I have a dog park. I have a walking trail. You know, I can go exercise, and you know, it's just an overall good feel and a community feel. Because I stayed in subdivisions, and sometimes I don't even talk to my neighbors, or I don't see them. You know, our schedule's just not matching up. But with this community feel, it forces you to get to know everyone. You know, you have to, because you park in parking pads. You just don't go into your garage. You know, so you got to walk to your unit, and you got to meet your people, and you know, you might meet them at the community garden. You might meet them at the dog park. You might be walking on the walking trail on, you know, in the mornings or on the weekends. So yeah, so that's why we want to build a sense of community. And right here, I just got some details of the Valentina Estates deal. It's 42 units. It's on 8.44 acres. Project timeline 12 to 14 months. And I had some returns on here as far as the investors: 44% return, 10% preferred. The market is Chattanooga, Tennessee. And like I said, feasibility. does this deal make sense? Growing population, yes. Job growth, yes. Housing shortage, yes. So it all checked all my boxes. So this definitely was a feasible project. And I want to get into some of the costs that goes into these projects. You got land costs, you got hard costs, and you got soft costs, and you got carrying costs. Land costs is basically what it costs me to acquire the land. Hard cost horizontal is actually the physical cost to put the infrastructure in the ground. Hard cost vertical are the physical costs to get the houses erected. And the soft costs are the intangible costs like my architect, my civil engineer, my survey, developer fees, permits, those intangible costs that you really don't see on the forefront. And then the carrying cost is basically my interest costs for my construction loan. So that all of that makes up, the total cost of the project. And typically you want to keep your soft costs around 30% of the deal because the bulk of, your costs are going to be on the vertical cost, the actual physical construction of the units. Right here, I have a little definition about the difference between hard costs and soft costs. Like I said, hard costs are tangible expenses that are directly linked to the physical construction of the project. Some examples are construction materials, labor, machineries, equipment, interior fixtures, landscaping, and other direct costs. And some of the soft costs are intangible expenses that are not directly linked to the actual construction of the project. And those are permits, design fees, legal fees, insurance, sales and marketing, and other indirect costs. So that makes up the total cost of the entire project. Strategy and due diligence. Now, my strategy, this is my personal strategy. My strategy is, like I said before, one of my gifts is finding undervalued property and underwriting deals. So I don't have to force a deal. So if I ever have a deal, you ought to know that, hey, we got a great deal on it. For example, the Valentina Stage land, I paid $160,000 for it. And that was actually a steal. Because the reason why it was a steal, because it was already pre-approved for 29 single family houses. Like I said before, that was my second option to build 29 units, build and rent. This land should have cost me $600,000, but I paid $160 for it. So from day one, we have over a $400,000 cushion because we got the land so cheap. I got it at an estate sale. Family just wanted to get rid of it. They weren't developers, so they didn't know the value of the land because the guy that passed, he had already had it approved, but they just didn't do nothing with the approvals. And I went in and I maximized it by doing 42 tiny homes instead of just building 29 single family homes. So the strategy is to buy undervalued land. The next strategy for me is to pre-sell the units. So I want to get all of these units sold before I even start construction. That's going to help me and my investors out multiple ways. One, now we got another cash infusion because we're collecting non-refundable construction deposits. Now we have more capital for operational costs. Two, that just get that part of the development out the way. Now we don't have to put them on the MLS or anything like that. The last deal I had, we didn't even have to put them on the MLS. We sold out just off the pictures and renderings, just off social media. I mean, the world is changing. I don't know any other developer. Well, I'm pretty sure people have done it in the past, but none of these properties ever hit the MLS and it's sold out within 50 days. So that also goes to show me how much the market wants this product. The next development I do, I will put them on the market because I think we'll sell out even faster. I just feel like we'll sell out even faster if we put them on the market. And then you got the MLS plus social media. So now we combining both of them. Who knows? We may sell it in 10 days. My third point of the strategy is to keep the prices under 250. Like I said before, under 250,000 has the largest buyer pool. You have more people that are trying to get these homes, and it just makes sense. I will keep doing this tiny home strategy until the market corrects. and interest rates go down, then I'll probably start doing tiny homes as well as other development products like single family homes. But until then, I'm only doing this strategy because it's hard to lose when you're selling homes, new construction under 250,000. And like I said, did you know in today's market, houses valued at 250 and under has the largest buyer pool? We've talked about that. And next, I want to get into due diligence. Feasibility. We'll talk about feasibility, cost, hydrology, and the survey. Feasibility is basically, does this deal make sense? What's my exit strategy? What's the need? What's the highest and best use of this land? And like I said, the tiny homes was my fourth option, but it turned out to be my highest and best use because, like I said, I could have done 29 single family homes. They have the same profit margins as tiny homes, but it's more materials, it takes longer, and it'll be a smaller profit margin than the tiny homes. So, like I said, I want to build affordable housing apartments at first. I was just I was thinking like, I want to do good. I want to, but the neighbors didn't want apartments. They're like, no, we don't want apartments. There's only houses around here. And that's where feasibility comes into play. When you look at a piece of land, you got to see what's the rest of the makeup of the neighborhood. If there's only single family houses around, chances are the city is only going to allow you to do single family houses. If you're in a neighborhood where it's a lot of townhomes, you're probably going to only be approved for townhomes unless you do a pocket plan unit development, which kind of helps you break the rules a little bit. But it's hard to get those PUD approvals. I got it because the city wanted to see these tiny homes. So I'm glad they was on my side on that. Next is cost. As I said before, if you're new, I'm telling you to get 5 to 10 quotes from general contractors. Once your architect gives you the designs and you get your material takeoff, you'll be able to take those designs to a general contractor and get a quote of how much it's going to cost to build. Now, if you're someone seasoned, you probably can get away with 5 quotes. But if you're new, I would say 5 to 10 because I tell my students, if you talk to 10 people in the same field, you're going to find out what the truth is. So the next step in due diligence is hydrology. This is to make sure that you're not in a floodplain, there's no creeks or standing water running through the property. This is one of the first things that you need to do because if you don't, and you find out there's a creek running through the property, 9 times out of 10, you cannot build 25 feet, around that creek from the setbacks. So that's gonna alter your site plan. That's gonna alter how many houses you can put on the site. So you want to get to a hydrology study. It's going to be around $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the size of the land. I had to get a hydrology study, and thankful that there's no water standing on the property. Survey. Survey is one of the first things that you need to get done as well because you want to know your boundaries. I had a survey done. I know this picture is pretty small, but I found out that one of the neighbors' houses was on my property. And he actually was going to pay $7,000 to have his house picked up and moved back. So he's not on my property anymore. But what I did was I got with my civil engineer and we just said, hey, you don't have to move your house because, like I said before, we're only building on 30% of this land. We're keeping green space. And what I did was we flipped it. We had the green space on the side where his house was on my land. So we're not even using that. It's going to stay wooded. And we're only building on 30% of the land. So I kind of helped the neighbor out a little bit. And it came back full circle because when I went to my planning commission meeting, it was about a dozen neighbors came up to oppose it. And I was like, man, this is a great product. Why are they opposing what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to build up the community. And they just didn't know, because I don't know if y'all know how development works. When a development is coming, the city sends out a letter to all of the neighbors within a certain radius to say, hey, it's a development coming. If you want to complain, come on down. And when you send a letter out that vague and you give somebody a platform to complain, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna complain. So funny thing is, like I said, I had a dozen neighbors show up opposing it. They say, oh, this is gonna turn into the projects. We don't want renters. And I'm like, well, y'all haven't talked to me yet. This is gonna be an owner community, a homeownership community. I'm bringing 42 more homeowners to your neighborhood association. I'm bringing 42 allies. And after I talked to every single one of those people after the planned unit development hearing, every last one of them was on board after that. Oh, I can't wait. I saw what you did in Atlanta. We need this. And all it took was a conversation, So what I did was, I was like, okay, now I just need to be proactive with talking to the neighbors. So after that, I scheduled 2 more neighborhood meetings with the neighbors. One to address their concerns. And then the second one where I just did a panel and they heard me talk about what was coming. So that just got them more excited. It warmed them up of who I am. It warmed them up of what's coming. And it let them know that, hey, your values are going to go up, not down, and it's not a renter community, it's a homeowners community. So they're on board with that. And that's just a part of the due diligence. You got to talk to the neighbors because the neighbors can make or break your development. Once you get past the city, you still have to make sure that the neighbors are on board as well. Right here, this is just a screenshot of some of the people across the country that are asking for me to do it in their state. You all can read the screen. I don't want to read every single one of them, but I'll read some of the states. You got Nevada, Cali, Florida, Nashville, Tennessee, Raleigh, North Carolina. Everybody say, hey, can you do it here? Can you do it here? And like I said, I wanted to bring it back to my hometown first. I'm actively working on a way so I can help people in other states bring this to their city and state or town. And the last one, which was funny, there's like billionaires like Bezos and Musk should invest in communities like this instead of playing with rockets. I love astrology. I don't know about that last part, but I'm glad they're kind of comparing what I'm doing to a grand scale. But like I said, it's a great product. People love it. It went viral on TikTok. It went viral on social media, and people just love the product. It's just something different. So I hope you all enjoyed my presentation. Like I said, I want to do like a Q&A to answer all of your questions. I know it's pretty lengthy, but I want to make sure I went through everything. If you have any questions, my direct contact number, my email, and also if you want to know more about what I have going on, you can scan the QR code here at the bottom right of the corner. And yeah, thanks. And if you got any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, great presentation, Rashad. Great quality, great information. We do have questions, so I'll get those started. But if you have additional questions, just feel free to put those in the question box. The first question is, what is the advantage over mobile home or RV communities where it seems that the homes are about the same size, but they're not restricted to one locale?
Well, that just depends on the person. What I'm building is real estate. Where RV parks. If you want to go from pad to pad, that's more of a lifestyle type, thing. But this is real property. Is to the ground. You own your unit. Whereas RV park, well, I guess you could own the pad, but it's just a matter of preference. I wish I could take people inside these homes because they don't feel like tiny homes. You got 18-foot ceilings from floor to ceiling height. You got big custom glass windows. You got an 18-foot deck on the side, 2 18-foot decks on the side. It just boils down to your lifestyle and what do you want.
Okay, great answer. So next question is, what is the smallest amount of land that you would be looking for?
Anything on 2 acres and up. But I've seen someone put eight homes on 0.8 acres. So I can go anywhere from an acre and up because every planned unit development doesn't have to be 29 units or 42 units. I could do a pocket community of 8, but it averages out because I can get in and out of that development quicker because I'm only building 8 houses. So I would say anywhere from an acre on up. Like I said, the one in Atlanta was 3 acres, and the one in Chattanooga is 8.5 acres. So yeah.
Okay, next question is, how do you find out if an area has housing shortage?
Well, what I do is I do a lot of research, and one thing that helped me with the example I just showed you all, the mayor actually did a press conference on the housing shortage because he had to put the word out like, hey, we need more housing, like we need more homes built, we need more homes developed. But you can do research, just like when I found the average median income, I use a website called citydata.com. That's city-data.com. Now I can go in and see if a market is losing population, if it's gaining population. I can find out the average median income. I can find out the whole DNA of a market just by going to that website. So to answer your question, I just do a lot of research, and if you have an agent or if you're not that savvy, I will get with a professional, a real estate professional, and have them, figure out like, hey, is this overbuilt or is it underbuilt? So Chattanooga right now is underbuilt. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, will be overbuilt because a lot of people are coming to Chattanooga. A lot of investors from California are investing. And that's the thing, right? That's why I like to move fast and efficient because I know real estate goes in cycles. Soon as a market comes up that no one's heard about, once the cat gets out the bag, the prices catch up. Just like Atlanta. 10 years ago, the cost of living in Atlanta was great. But over the time, you have people moving from New York, you have people moving from LA, and we got an influx of people coming and coming and coming, and it's a supply and demand thing. So now Atlanta is way more expensive now. Like the average home price in Atlanta is 450,000. That's almost $500,000. In 2015, the average sales price was 240,000. So that's almost double in 8 years. So yeah.
Okay, great. Next question is there a way to invest one house at a time? So,
yes, I mean, as far as, can you clarify what you mean by that?
I can ask. If you can elaborate on that question, I'll come back to it. It says, the next question is, where is your community in Atlanta?
It's in College Park. It's near the airport.
Okay. Next question is, are you expanding into other areas in South Georgia for tiny home communities?
Yes, I am. I have people contacting me and calling me every day. They have land, but yes. So I'm working on something in LaGrange as well, and it's well, 2 things in LaGrange, 2 separate people that I'm looking at, advising them or consulting them, on how to build this on their properties.
Okay, so next question is minimum investment 50K. Not in a place I could do that. Is this only for accredited investors if I wanted to invest?
So I'm glad you asked that question so I can clear that up. So we have 2 classes of investing, right? Class A, yes, that's a $50,000 minimum investment. And that way you get a 10% preferred return, plus you get equity in the deal. The Class B is strictly, Class B minimum is $5,000, and but you don't get to participate in the equity, but you get a 12% preferred return. So you get a 12% preferred return on your money on a 12-month span, and you can still be involved in the deal. So you don't have to be an accredited investor, and we do have 2 classes. If you want to be a part of the equity, and I can contact me if you're interested. I can send you everything over. But there are two classes. Class A is equity. Class B is debt. Debt meaning that you're getting a flat 12% return, rain, sleet, or snow. Class A, that means you're getting a 10% preferred return, and then you're getting a 44% total return on your money based on the equity portion. And that's conservative, because I always underwrite my deals conservative. I'd rather tell my investors, hey, you get 44% and it comes back 55 versus telling them they have 44% and it comes back 38.
Okay, next question is, does the home qualify for a typical mortgage?
Oh yes, yes. These are regular homes. They're just smaller homes. You can get FHA, you can get conventional, VA. These are regular homes, and they take all the loan products.
Okay, next question, and there's several more, so great questions. Thank you for asking. It says, how can we see or visit one of your homes? Is there a model that we can visit?
Well, yeah, so right now, we're not having any visitors on site because we have active construction going on. But once everything is finished, there will be opportunities to come down. We'll have an event where you can come down and see one of these homes. But as of right now, we're just focused on finishing and, finishing the mission.
Okay, so next question is, can you build one with a one-car garage?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is just the design for this, particular development. But we are working on different types of designs for these houses. Some with garages, some that are just ranches with no steps, and like I said, a 2-bedroom. I'm working on that as well. So the possibilities are endless. Just I get with my architect and we come up with different things, different schemes, and just see what the market wants. I typically just listen to what people say, because when I'm on site, people come up to me all the time and they ask questions, and I'm taking note, and I take that back to my architect, and then we bring it to fruition. So that is a possibility to have one with a garage.
Okay, next question is, can you convert a mobile home park that is underutilized?
Can you convert a mobile home office that's underutilized?
No, mobile home park. It says MHP. I mean MHP, but I assume that's mobile home park that's underutilized. Can you convert it?
Oh yes, for sure, most definitely. That's just a matter of clearing out what's there and rebuilding.
Okay. Next question is, do you do well and septic or connect to county or city water and sewer?
Yes,
So
and that's part of the horizontal. That's part of the infrastructure. If we're out in a more rural area, probably be on septic, but we were able to connect to the sewer from the street and privatize the sewer. So you got private sewer, public water, and it's all electric. So we got Georgia Power for electric.
Okay. Next question is, can you take 1031 on tenant income and funds?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Next question is, where is the Chattanooga project located?
The Chattanooga project is located on the east side of town. It's Eastdale neighborhood. And like I said, that's about 2 blocks away from the Nippon paint plant that's coming, the Japanese paint plant that's coming. That entire side of town is going to get built up. For one, I have that one development there. I bought a car wash around the corner from there, and I also have I have some land in that same area that's going to get developed after this first development gets done. I'm just sitting on that land, but that whole area is going to be built up, and it's going to be built around that huge employer that's coming to that side of town.
Okay. Next question is, do you have a website?
Yes, my website is postprocapital.com. That's POSTPRO capital.com.
Okay. Next question is, how are you able to pre-sell?
How am I able to pre-sale? Just we put them on our website, and we had them fill out my own builder contract, and once they fill it out, got pre-approved, or if they're paying cash, they wired the non-refundable deposits, they were locked in. And we had a preferred lender, Movement Mortgage, on this development down in Atlanta. I'm still shopping for a preferred lender for Chattanooga. I've been meeting with Cadence Bank, but there's nothing set in stone. So right now, I've been in talks with them. But once Cadence Bank pre-approves you and we lock you in, and we've been working with the buyers on rate locks, because we know that they keep raising interest rates and stuff like that. So we do stuff like that to kind of protect the buyers, to make sure that their rates locked in and try to finish on time, so they don't have to extend their rate locks.
Okay, next question is, can we see an actual full floor plan for those that live far away?
A full, yes. That's a part of the pre-sale. So once I get all of the floor plans back from my architect, we're gonna put them on the website. Like, you don't have to just purchase blindly. You'll have all the floor plans that are on the website.
Okay, and I have two questions related to architect. It says, how do you find a good architect? And then the next question is, just bear with me, how do you choose the right architect?
Oh yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. So I'll tell you the exact thing that I did. What I did was I called 10 architects in Chattanooga, and 5 of them called me back. I talked to 3 of them, and as I was talking to them, I just went with my gut, and I looked them up. They had won awards in the city. They've done some very big projects, and I just felt like I was in good hands. My main thing, I like to work with people who have a reputation. So they're not going to do anything shady. They have a reputation to uphold. They're known around the city. They've done good work. I can see their work. So that's one of the main things that I look for. Not just the architect, anybody. What have you done? Like, let me see your portfolio. So I went by a couple of places that they designed, and I like what they had to offer. And also too, one of the things where I picked my architect, he was just so helpful on the front end. I worked with my architect for about, like, not every day, but over a course of a year, just preliminary, before he even sent me a contract. So it's like, man, like, this guy's he's just all in. He wants to see this come to the city, and and also word of mouth too. And that's how I'm vetting my general contractors, because my architect referred my general contractor. The key thing that he said is, I worked with him before. He also referred me my civil engineer. And one of the key things he said is, I've worked with him before. I like working with him. So like I said, I'm an athlete, and it's hard to win a championship if you got a different team every game. So if my architect has already worked with my civil, and he's already worked with the general contractor, and he likes working with these guys, and they've completed projects together, why not keep that same team together? So that's just how I'm looking at it.
Okay, next question is, how long is the project projected to take? So how long is the capital expected to stay in the fund?
So great question. So for Class B, it's a 12 to 14 month term. Now, like I said before, all of my pro forma and all my underwritings are worst case scenarios. Because like I said, if I tell you 12 to 14 months and I finish in 8, you love me. If I tell you 8 and I finish in 12 to 14, you're like, oh man, I need my money. So I try to under promise and over deliver. On the flip side of that, Class B, the debt, just 12% preferred return, that's just a 12-month term. Your money will be returned to you in 12 months, whether the deal is finished or not, because it's considered a loan and not a equity investment. But the equity investors, we all get paid at the same time. Once we pay off the debt, we have an equity pool, and we break it down accordingly.
Okay, next question is, have you completed a project and exited?
Yes, yes, I've completed multiple projects and exited. Like I said, I was building single houses, I was flipping houses, you know. So I've had multiple exits on deals.
Okay, next question is, are there any opportunities to become a third-party contractor?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, send me your portfolio, send me your resume. Definitely. You know, I'm always looking for good, honest contractors. And I don't know if you all follow my YouTube, but I got a video on there where I just hop out on contractors like every day. Like it's just a part of my normal life. If I'm riding down, we could be going to the movies with the family. If I see a construction site, my wife already knows. I might hop out and talk to the contractor because I'm always building relationships. I call it stacking a deck because you can never have too many good contractors, especially with the type of deals that I'm doing and the volume of deals I'm doing. You have to have I like to have 5 people for each trade, 5 carpenters, 5 granite guys, 5 roofers, 5 siding guys, 5 painters. So because I may have a deal, but you may not be able to get to it, and I'm gonna have to go down the list. Now, second on the list doesn't mean he's second tier. It just means, hey, my go-to guy is not available. Let me go to the second guy who's also great at what he does.
Okay, a follow-up question to, have you completed and exited projects you met with tiny homes? I know you have the project here in Atlanta, so obviously, yes, you've completed, a tiny community project.
Yeah, so the one in Atlanta, we're about 60 days out from completion. So in that regard, we haven't 100% finished yet, but we're about 60 days from completion.
Okay, next question is the funding for the, I'm sorry, when are you taking in funds for your next project?
Oh, we're taking funds now. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you right to the investor portal. There's no pressure, you just create your profile. You can see the deals that are in there. I have my pro forma in there. I have my underwriting in there. And once you sign up, I can also I have a Google Drive that has everything that you possibly would need. I have news articles on the development. I have the renderings. I have webinars. I have the pitch deck, and I also have a video. It's an 8-minute video specifically going over the numbers. It just specifically goes over the numbers, and I want it to be short. I want it to be 8 minutes because I didn't want people to say, "Oh, I don't have 15 minutes." Everybody has 8 minutes, especially when it comes to your money. So I just did a video strictly on what would happen if you invest in this deal versus stocks, bonds, index funds, CDs, or any other investment instrument. So definitely, we're taking capital now. We're in the deal now, and we're moving forward. And we love to have you all on board.
Okay, great. Next question, and just a couple more. At what stage of construction are you in on the Chattanooga property?
What stage of construction are we in?
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't started construction yet. Right now, we're in a preliminary phase. Right now, we're getting all of our architecturals done. We're getting our site plan done. The civil engineer, I hadn't talked a lot about my civil. I talked a lot about my architect. But what the civil engineer does, he does the site plan for the entire site. I mean, the plumbing, how the plumbing is going to flow, how the water runoff is going to flow, what the house placement, where the retention pond goes, like every single thing. And basically, the site plan, if it's not on the site plan, it's basically not approved. So right now, we're in the preliminary stages of getting the site plan approved. Once the site plan is approved, we can get the LDP, which is the land disturbance permit. That way I can start clearing the trees and we can start excavation on the property. So we haven't started the physical construction. We've done hydrology studies, we've done surveys. Right now we're doing a lot of soft cost stuff. So, and that's one of the major parts. Like a lot of people, when they ride by, I know when we did the one in Atlanta, it was like, man, why haven't y'all started yet? I'm like, we have started. It's more than just building. Like it's a lot of planning in the beginning to make sure that this is a viable, fully functional community once it's done. It's a lot of stuff that goes on underground. So like I said, we've done the hydrology study, we've done the survey, our architect's working on the architecturals, and the civil engineers working on the site plan. So that's my daily, everyday thing right now. Then it would transition to physical construction once we get past this phase.
Okay, next question is, have any of your properties projects run over budget? Will investors be able to see what the budgets are?
Oh yeah, so my project has run over budget, but that was because we found the gas line running through the property, and we had to get that taken out. So we had to wait 2 weeks for the gas company to come out and to make sure it wasn't active. And once we found out it wasn't active, we had to find a safe, secure way for our contractor to come cut it out. And this is the thing, right? You can be as conservative as you want on a budget. And I'll give you two real life examples. The one in College Park, they made us put in a retaining wall, a $70,000 retaining wall that wasn't on the initial budget. So of course we're gonna be over budget. That $70,000 retaining wall was never talked about until we started the project. The second thing was the fire marshal made us put fire sprinklers in these units. That was $100,000 ask that wasn't originally on the initial pro forma. But that wasn't any fault to the developer. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. He just kept, we had a meeting with the city. Everybody was there but the fire marshal. The fire marshal was on vacation. So we moved past that step thinking, okay, we're going. And then we start building and the fire marshal come back in and say, hey, you gotta put fire sprinklers in. I'm like, wow, like you weren't at the meeting. I thought, but those are some of the things that you just can't control. But that did put us over budget. But we explained that to the investors. And one thing I do, I have a meeting with my equity investors every month. Starting in June, we'll meet every month because that's when we really get into the thick of everything. And everything will be, you can ask questions every month. And another thing that I do that I think helps my investors, I document everything. I have over 500 videos on YouTube just documenting my daily process. I show the good, the bad, and the ugly. So everything's pretty much an open book with me. And when we went over budget because of the retaining wall and the fire sprinklers, they knew right then. They knew at the next meeting. So I hope that answered your question.
It did. And final question is the funding for this project only? So I don't know if they need to add additional content, but that's the question. Is the funding for this project only?
The fund, yes. So when I raise for a project, I raise specifically for that project. Once you go into the investor portal, you can see everything else that's going on, but everything is separated. So if you want to invest in a car wash, that's a separate tab that you need to go into, and that's a separate LLC, those separate terms. So the capital that I'm raising for right now is a Valentine Estates deal that will go there, that will go to the soft costs, that will go to the hard costs, that will go to the overall operational costs of that individual deal.
Well, wonderful. That covers all of the questions, Rashad. Thank you again for providing great information, answering, staying on, after her to answer all of the questions. Any parting words before we disconnect?
No, I appreciate you having me, and I hope I provided a lot of value to your clients.
Absolutely, you did. Again, if anyone on the call has any questions about self-direction, feel free to reach out to me or visit advantaira.com. And with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day.